Whoa. Be careful, this is really steep. It's really fun though because there's loads of. It's weird walking in mud because we're so experienced in walking
on ground.
Yeah, walking on a flat ground.
So it's like how
Hello. I'm near a tree. Hello, good people. So you find me today having a wander in the little fields not far from where I live. Look at that. Look at that. Oops. I accidentally dinged my own bell. Who knew? Who knew that would happen? So today, the idea for this little writing lesson is that we can write differently in different places, and that sometimes we pressure ourselves to write certain kinds of things at all times when maybe we can respond more to our moods. So I was inspired by Adisa's poem that he shared yesterday, and in his poem where he was talking about the bee, there was something about him exercising and being out on his bike that made me think, well, I'm certainly not as healthy as this guy, but it seems to inspire him. So I got my own little bike out and I came here. That's interesting, isn't it? Must be a very precious tree with all of that barbed wire. So I thought I would come out to the woods to be inspired myself. And yes, this lesson's focus then is all about how we can write based on activities and how we can write based on our mood and location. Okay, I'm going to find a little spot where I don't feel awkward. There's somebody walking around and I really don't want them to sneeze on me. Out. I'm near a different tree. You know what, here's a little challenge I've just thought I'll give to myself. I need to find a bit of tree that will be perfect as a kind of phone stand. And then I can present to the camera. These are the kind of odd, pointless missions that we need to set ourselves over the next few months so that we don't go crazy. Maybe you can help me. It's like Where's Wally? Imagine how easy Where's Wally would be now when there's no one else around. That's quite funny, isn't it? Okay. I can rest the phone on that. It's wonky, but it will do. So when we are out in nature, we can sometimes be inspired by the sounds and the things that we hear. With poetry, sometimes there's a sense that it's all just about nature. And I always found when I was a kid that sort of stuff didn't actually inspire me that much. Sometimes, you know, I wouldn't really have things to say, or it would all be cliches. I'd just be saying things I didn't really feel. So sometimes you can look at what you see and it can inspire you in different ways. We are out in somewhere beautiful, sure, but in this little activity we're going to be thinking about what we actually think, because sometimes we don't put our accurate, authentic thoughts down on the page, we just put down kind of what we expect to have to write. So if we were to write, like, today we're going to be writing about spring, I like what Adisa did yesterday. His was not just like, the sun is shining, the lamb is being born, blah blah blah. No, he saw something that stood out to him, which was one specific beat, and what he liked about it was the rhythm and the syllables. So I'm going to try and do something similar. But what we're focusing on is capturing what you're actually thinking in those moments. Whether you're thinking something deep, whether you're thinking something quite shallow, how can we use that? So I'm going to now just walk around, seeing things, having thoughts, and seeing what you think. Let's have a go. Okay. I mean, this is standing out to me because already it's making me think of Medusa. So I'm at the Medusa tree anyway, and I noticed something very interesting. See if you can see it here. There's some poetry in this. So not the branch, and it crosses over. Then it makes a weird crisscross, and it's not that one is behind the other. Like, it's a full crisscross, but even weirder, somehow. What? It connects. There's something in that. There's something in that I could write. I think that when we are in a place like this, or when we're just, out and we feel more peaceful than we have done, I certainly feel more relaxed just by leaving the house than I was doing sitting in my shed yesterday. When you do that, it changes the way that you think about things. So I couldn't sit here and write a really good novel. I couldn't sit here and write a really, deep, funny, philosophical essay or anything like that. But what I could do is I could notice small things and I could write about those small things. So maybe what I want to do later when I get back home is I want to remember this, and I want to remember the Medusa tree, and maybe see something in that. I like mythology, so sometimes when I'm here, if I'm looking at things like this, I link to things that I also like. I might not be a huge fan of nature writing in itself. I might find it, every time I try, it's just loads of boring cliches and you can't really see anything. But if I link it to stuff that I actually know about, for me that might be myths, for you that might be superhero stories, or for you it might be horror films or whatever. I mean, this is very horror film, look at this. You can write in a way that means something to you. So maybe when we get back, that's going to be the exercise. The next time you're able to leave the house, obviously we're doing so very carefully and you'll be staying away from all other people. Next time you do, give yourself a little bit of time to think, even if you are with other people, and use that time. Use it to think deeply and use it to look around you and spot little details like Adisa said yesterday. For me, I'm going to do something about mythology and nature. That's what I'm going to do. I'm inspired. Thank you, Adisa, for yesterday's lesson. You inspired me. I'm going to get my helmet on, because safety first. On another day, we'll talk about how it feels to have such a huge head. Okay. I may have to take the hat off. My head is large. And then I'm going to get on my bike and do some cycling. Here we are. It's the best I can do. No, this isn't safe. I'm going to have to take this hat off. I'm strangling myself to death.